spiritual living right here in beautiful Fullerton, California. We should say downtown Fullerton, California. My name is Tamara Rosas, and I'm a practitioner at this vibrant church. I love this church so much. Please join me in stating our purpose statement. We are a loving spiritual community, empowering all to live healthy and successful lives through practicing the principles of science of mind. So this morning, before Carol prays us in, I have some announcements. And today, yes, we do have a wonderful guest minister here today. We're in for a treat. And she brought her partner, Rick Dale. And, oh, it's going to be a treat. Reverend Bill and Beverly sends their love from Oregon. They'll be back next Sunday. Virtual Book Club with Sally and Amanda is on Sunday or Monday, September 13th. And if we don't have your email, please come see me so I can send you the link to that Zoom meeting. Unexpected Income Club is doing great. And we actually hit our first goal today. So it's over $12,000. Great. And be sure to join us for practitioner installation for our wonderful Amanda. And that's going to be on Sunday, September 19th. And it's during service. Reverend Bill will be officiating. And then potluck lunch afterwards. Please join us. And right now we're gathering students for our fall class. So please come see me if anybody's interested. We don't have a date yet, but we do have 2 classes scheduled. So please come see me after service. All right, and that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening.
And now I just invite you all to join with me as we turn within. And just allowing our minds and our hearts to align as we come together in love and just recognizing that divinity that is within each one of us. We are one in spirit, one in love, and one in life. And we thank you, Father, Mother, God, for knowing that we are all connected in this oneness, no matter where we are. And we're grateful for this connection, for this oneness, for this wholeness. And we each listen to our spirit within, and this perfection within us shines out to everyone we meet. And we are grateful and thankful, and we know that this service is a blessing to each and every person here, and for those at home as well. And I speak a word of thanks to everyone who has made this service possible today. I thank our Board of Trustees, our practitioners, our ushers, our musicians, our junior church children and teachers, and those who provide the coffee fellowship. And today we have our very special guest minister here, Reverend Karyn Allen. And I know that her message will be perfect and uplifting to each one of us. And also for the extra music we're going to have today from her partner, Rick Dale. And we're grateful to everyone here and for everyone at home as we celebrate love, joy, and peace, and the power of spirit within us. I know this service is perfect, whole, and complete, and so it is.
I need to be still and let God love me. I need to be still and let God love me. this old world starts to push and shove me, I need to be still and let God love me.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carol Riseling, a practitioner here at our center. And today I found a reading. This came out of Science of Mind magazine, and it was written by Kathy Julene. And we know her husband, Reverend Roger Julene, who's spoken here many times, and at our old church as well. So I just saw her name on this, and I thought, oh, let's try it. So here we are. And she says, rethinking an initial reaction to a troubling incident that happens in life is like taking the next step up a ladder. From that higher perspective, we see farther. We see more. We get a clearer view. A wise way to live is to take this next higher step. If something happens that triggers a negative reaction, such as fear or resentment, first we acknowledge the feeling, inviting it to offer its meaning to us in a message. Then listening, we then move on into a new or second thought about the incident. We pause and renew, centered in the recognition of our divine guidance and truth. A deeper understanding arises when we allow time for the new awareness to well up, as it does gently and easily once we have released any attachment to negative, fear-based emotions. And when we open up to this new second thought, the wise self is assessed, and we are then equipped to respond to the triggering incident from a higher level of spiritual awareness. We become inspired to choose love and empathy for all concerned, including ourselves. By being willing to wait for this second thought, we move from reactivity, which is always at the same level of responsiveness. We are guided to do that which leads us ever higher in our spiritual evolving. And as our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, as our thought is opened and we behold the image of eternity within ourselves, we are changed by this image into a newness of life. And now, let us pray. Just knowing and accepting that God is that one power, that presence, that light, that love, that life that is within each one of us. That life is perfection, it is wholeness, it is health. And that life is each of our lives now. This is who we are. We are made from God's love. We are spirit in manifestation. And knowing this, we are inseparable from this source. This source that flows within our body temples, renewing and regenerating and filling us with vitality and the perfection of spirit. We let go of any thoughts that are not in alignment with this perfection and claim perfect health for each one of us. I give thanks for life. I give thanks for our connection to the divine life within. And I know that Spirit guides us and protects us in every activity we do. And I release these words of gratitude, knowing that it's already handled and already done. And so it is.
Good morning, you beauties. Good morning. How are you? Thank you for having us today. Karyn and I have an agreement. She'll help me sing songs most of the time, and I never help her do a talk. So anyway, I was telling Tommy earlier, this song came to me, it's an original, came to me almost 30 years ago when I was a member of the Fullerton church. So that was the church in which it was first performed. So I've come full circle, and this song is a love song from God. It's called Everything I Have Is Yours.
inside.
Now it's time to introduce our guest speaker, Reverend Karyn Allen. And she has been in the Science of Mind teachings at the Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley, since 1998. And she became a licensed minister at the Centers for Spiritual Living in 2011 and ordained in 2014. She oversees the creative arts ministry of the center, and her ministry incorporates her knowledge and embodiment of the Science of Mind philosophy, and with her performing arts and teaching background, to create an inspiring method of learning about oneself through creativity. She believes that everyone has a unique gift to share with the world, and it can be revealed through the Science of Mind teachings and the arts. A favorite quote of hers is by Martha Graham, and it reads, "There is a vitality, a life force, and energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique." And let's give her a warm welcome, and she's going to speak on Rise and Reemerge.
Thank you so much. And it's such a blessing to be with you today. Thank you for having us. I know several people who have been to this center and told me what a loving community you are, and I have not been disappointed this morning. It's just been so wonderful so far, and we haven't even started yet. And then to see your purpose, it's like we are a loving spiritual community, and you are, so thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. So today's topic of Rise and Reemerge, it came from the CSL Global Themes for 2021. And the notes provided are about rising and reemerging through restoration, integration, self-care, and evolution. And by recognizing that we already possess God qualities we wish to experience and cultivate, we basically already have what we want. And this recognition is established through, number one, self-awareness, which they describe as becoming self-aware of our humanity and our connection to life, by embracing the joyful and inquisitive nature of a young child, which I thought was perfect. You put that little picture up there. Through this self-awareness, we recognize our inherent God qualities and nurture them as we cultivate practices of conscious choice and self-renewal. That was their first note. The second one, this recognition is established through spiritual alignment and self-renewal. So by recognizing who we are, we align our spiritual practices with action. Through affirmative prayer, sacred study, and the inward journey, we create a dynamic equilibrium of divine right action and self-renewal. And then their third recognition is spiritual discernment. As we rise and reemerge, we spiritually discern what is ours to do on our continued journey as we practice self-love and answer the call to serve. So, they provided great notes for me to use. However, because I am learning to trust and learning to use my intuition, I decided that I was actually not going to use their notes today. I thought I would share some of their wisdom, of course, but I want to bring myself forward. I want to make this more personal. So this morning I am going to share with you that which brought me here today, because I know that being here, right now, in this very room, in this very moment, is actually a demonstration, my demonstration. And you'll understand more as the story progresses. So, okay. So once upon a time, a little girl was born. That little girl was I. I was born and I was raised in the then small town of Dana Point. At that time, maybe 3,000, population of 3,000, and now it's 33,000, so just a little comparison. It wasn't quite Mayberry, though we did have our little fishing hole, like Opie and Andy. But my brother and I went to kindergarten through 12th grade with many of the same people, and we actually still know of them. Our family of four was one of just a handful of Japanese American families in the area. We did not practice religion, except for the occasional trip up to Los Angeles. My dad was Buddhist, so we would go up to LA to a Shin Buddhist temple whenever there was a memorial. That's kind of their tradition. And those were held in Japanese. And I do not speak or read Japanese. I don't understand it, and so really I got nothing out of it. My brother and I enjoyed a modest middle-class upbringing. He was a surfer, he is a surfer, high achiever, and very successful. In fact, recently Elon Musk tweeted about him for some wonderful work he did on one of the SpaceX rockets. So, needless to say, he made my parents very proud. I, on the other hand, I was shy little mama's girl. You know, I was the one who was hiding behind her legs and never wanted to meet new people. My mom always said that I looked at the world through rose-colored glasses. And my dream in life, I wanted to be a backup singer and dancer for Lionel Richie. Yeah. Well, with that, you know, with those kind of interests of singing and dancing, you'd think that, oh, you know, this is a musical theater path, right? This should be my goal in life. No way. There's no way in heck you would have gotten me up on the stage to speak. And you know, musical theater is all about speaking as well as singing and dancing. So you know that saying about people being more afraid of public speaking than death itself? Yeah. That was me. That was definitely me. I think I probably would have rather lied on a bed of nails than spoke in public. But I'm probably the only one here, right? Yeah, you don't have to say anything. So being shy kept me from doing so many things in life, the things that I love to do. And for years it kept me from being successful and probably making my parents proud. So fast forward to 1998. In 1998, all right, I have 3 kids now. I have a almost 12-year-old son, and I have twin daughters who are almost 2. I am in the midst of a failing marriage, pretty miserable, and I have no spiritual means of coping at the time that I knew of. But then, by the grace of God, through my sister-in-law, she walked me through the doors of the Capistrano Valley Church of Religious Science. It was led by Dr. Jackie at that time. And that was the moment when my life changed. I mean, you know, that pivotal moment in your life that you have, well, that was mine. And that first Sunday I attended, of course, just like your meditation this morning, she was speaking right to me. And each Sunday after that, she was speaking right to me. She always knew, but how did she know what I needed to hear? You know, how did she know this? She was just, it wasn't about being psychic, but this is where my conscious spiritual journey began. This is what I call the beginning of, I don't know, the rototiller experience. So I was preparing the land, my land, for cultivation, preparing my soul for what was to come. So immediately after walking into Capistrano Valley Church of Religious Science, I became a member, and that was an easy decision. But then you know, the nudgings of my sister-in-law and the divine elbow, you know, that divine elbow, I joined a couple of volunteer teams. So I joined the choir, which at that time had over 30 members. I joined hospitality, which, you know, requires social interaction. And it was tough at first. It was a stretch. The first time that I sang with the choir, my whole body was shaking and my whole voice was shaking and my mouth was super dry. But I got through that. It's not easy to sing with a dry mouth. My first time at the hospitality tables, I had to do everything I could to keep from getting sick all of the food, and because that would have been just a miserable experience, right? But I made it through. And what prompted me to take this action were the words I heard from Dr. Jackie each Sunday. You know, over and over, keep hearing that message, just gets embedded in you. And so I kind of synthesized her messages into this one universal sentiment that you probably have heard before. But it goes like this. Nobody can go back and make a new beginning. Anyone can start over and make a new ending. I heard that, I said, anyone can make a new ending. That's what I want. I want a new ending. So as I continued attending churches on Sundays and soaking in the wisdom of Dr. Jackie, I still felt that default of blending in rather than shining. But I also knew that this is not how I wanted to live my life, how I wanted to be, living small in this really expansive world that I'm learning about. And I wanted my fairy tale ending. So I began the quest of addressing this question over and over and over again. Who do I want to be, and how do I want to show up in the world? Who do I really want to be, and how do I want to show up in the world? And as I tried to answer the question, I couldn't answer it. I really didn't know. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to be. In fact, because I was so reticent, the people around me didn't know who I was either. But as I embarked upon this new quest of self-discovery, I knew it was necessary, first of all, to divorce my husband. Remember that failing marriage I told you about? Well, as soon as I let go of that marriage, I let go of 13 years of self-imprisonment emotionally. And it was a whole new start. But the funny thing is that for weeks before he left, it was one of those things where you're dreading it. I was just dreading it. I was fearful. And then the moment he walked out that door, I felt this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. It's like just like letting go of your baggage and just walking on. Because at that very moment, I lost my self-imprisonment and I gained the freedom of everything that was to come. It was like, you know that acronym, false evidence appearing real, FEAR, it absolutely was that. It was false and it appeared real, but it was not real. And I prefer that other acronym, FEAR, feeling excited and ready, because that's where I was at that point. First I was in this fear, and then I brought myself up to feeling excited and ready. So after the divorce, I started delving into classes, and by this time Dr. Jackie had retired, and Dr. Heather Clark became our minister, and she was a great teacher. And also by this time, Rick Dale and I found each other and began our shared journey of love and music and family. So class after class, with my rototiller in hand, brought it wherever I went, I kept digging up the soil and revealing more of that hidden stuff, you know, this stuff. And I mostly didn't like what I saw. I mean, we usually don't like that hidden stuff, right? But through classes, I learned that those things that once served me for some reason or another, I could let go of them now. And the more classes I took, the more awareness about myself that I got. And bringing into the talk a little bit of the CSL notes. So I experienced, number one, the self-awareness that I mentioned earlier, where it says, I became more self-aware of my humanity and my connection to life itself. I started to recognize my inherent God qualities and began to nurture them and cultivate practices of self-conscious choice. So classes. And then the wisdom from all the classes I took and the growth of my soul led me to sign up for Science of Mind 300, which is practitioner studies, or was practitioner studies. I took this class to further my spiritual growth, not to become a practitioner. But we know that God does not hear no, right? I still harbored some deep-seated fear that I'd have to recite a prayer treatment in front of people. You know, I was a work in progress, but I was an open and willing work in progress. So how many of you have taken practitioner classes? Yes. So you all know how impactful this class is, what a deep dive into the soul it is. You know, for me, this class was a constant reminder of who I was, you know, the divine expression of God. And of all the classes I've taken over the years, this was the most powerful, this was the most transformative, even more than ministerial training. And so, this was the time when I was experiencing spiritual alignment and self-renewal. Number 2 from the CSL notes. So when I truly started recognizing who I was better able to align spiritual principles with action. I was creating a dynamic equilibrium of divine right action and self-renewal. I learned how to direct those things in my life that were in alignment with truth, using divine mind and law instead of living by default and letting things happen to me, that first kingdom consciousness. In the book, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life, Dr. Ernest Holmes says, Spirit makes things out of itself through some inner act upon itself. This inner act must be an act of consciousness, an act of thought or idea. This inner consciousness moves upon itself, that is, it thinks or knows within itself, within its own nature. There is a law obeying its will. And because we are one with this power, our conscious acts are acted upon by this law that knows only to create. So, what is it that I want to co-create with Spirit? I get to decide. You get to decide. We all get to decide. And in that song, Everything I Have Is Yours, that you just heard, the lyrics, everything I have is yours, everything you see is mine, all the treasures of the world, all the beauty that you find. All you have to do is decide to accept it inside. This song became my new mantra for life, as well as one of our Allendale signature songs. And with that everything I have is yours attitude and that Science of Mind 300 education, I decided I would take the leap, and I said yes. I said yes to becoming a practitioner. I got my license in 2007. So a few short years later, I find myself in the third recognition from the CSL notes, spiritual discernment. So I was ready to spiritually discern what was mine to do on my continued journey. So my discernment led me to take ministerial class, Science of Mind 400. And so when I entered this class, I knew it was something for me to do to enhance my spiritual growth again. But then again, that small little ego self popped up, said, Why would you ever want to give a Sunday talk? Isn't it enough to give a spiritual mind treatment in front of people? Why would you want to talk? That's just cray-cray. I let go of that. You know the rest of the story because here I am. Right? Through self-awareness, through spiritual alignment and spiritual discernment, I've become a whole new person. I'm no longer hiding behind my mom's legs. And I'm really more of who I really am. I've become who I am. And you know, I still have moments. I still have my moments of shyness. I still, when meeting new people. But then I have to remember to you know, let go of that small ego self and step into my power and remember who I am. And then I can keep moving forward without fear. And I mentioned in the beginning, my life is a demonstration, and not only because I stand up here as a minister, but also because I stood up here as a musician. My life is a demonstration because I have a really amazing life. I have a beautiful husband who loves me unconditionally and supports my growth through the whole thing, in whatever timing. And I live a truly abundant life, even though it would seem otherwise on paper. So as you know, this life, this spiritual journey is far from over for any of us. And for me, because of the awareness I have gained, whenever that rototiller experience uproots parts of my life that I no longer need, I just get rid of the stuff I don't need and plant seeds of those things that I do need, that are for my highest good. So I want to consciously fill the void with intention. So as life's lessons keep coming at us, we have a choice. We have a choice to go back to that question that I kept asking myself. How do I want to show up in the world? So how do you want to show up in the world? For me, at this time, I have decided that I want to show up in the world as my life being a prayer. And what that means to me is to be fully conscious the most throughout the day as much as I can, to really bring spirit wherever I am, even when, or should I say especially when, you're driving down the 57 freeway and some crazy driver cuts you off and flips you off, right? Well, early on I learned that all we need to do is say, I bless you, and I accept you, and I bless you. Do you remember that? I accept you, and I bless you. And at first it's going to say, I accept you, and I bless you. I accept you, and I bless you. I accept you, and I bless you. And then eventually it's like, I accept you, and I bless you. And that's when you know that you're complete with that. Another way I like to make my life a prayer is by trying to see the sacred in the mundane. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm Japanese American that never spoke Japanese or never even had been to Japan until 2 years ago. So in 2019, I graduated from college. I'm a late bloomer. Rick and I got married after dating for 17 years. Like I said, I'm a late bloomer, right? And we were gifted with this beautiful honeymoon to Japan. And at that time, I totally fell in love with the people, I fell in love with the land, and I fell in love with the culture. We didn't do a lot of culture in my household in Dana Point because we were kind of far removed from that. But what I did was I brought some practices home with me that I've been able to utilize in my life from Japan. And one of them is a form of saying grace. So, itadakimasu is a Japanese word that people say before eating. And it translates to, I will humbly accept it. I will humbly accept it. And the deeper meaning is that it's a way to express your understanding about how much was sacrificed each step of the way to make the meal possible. And it was also an appreciation for Mother Nature or God. And it also for the people who brought the food to the table. And it's been so much fun watching this catch on, not only with my kids, our kids, but also with my bestie. I think many of you know Reverend Patty Mercado. Well, now before we each say these words with our prayer hands, Itadakimasu. Itadakimasu. Can you say it? Itadakimasu. All right. Yay, you guys are so good. So John Shea, a contemporary Catholic theologian, says this: the spiritual life at root is a matter of seeing. It is all of life, seen from a certain perspective. It is waking, sleeping, dreaming, eating, drinking, working, loving, relaxing, recreating, walking, sitting, standing, and breathing. Spirit suffuses everything, and so the spiritual life is simply life, wherever and whatever, seen from the vantage point of spirit. So there are infinite ways of making your life a prayer. And if it interests you, I invite each of you this week to take some time to consciously move through the activities of your day and then watch how your awareness just expands. It's really a beautiful thing. So today is the day. Today is the day to rise and reemerge. Today is the day we can start over and make a new ending. Today is day one of the rest of your life. Today is day one of the best of your life. And so it is. So please join me in prayer. Knowing that amazing power that infuses all, that breathes all of us, that gives life, sustains life, is infinite, is present right here in this room, in this moment, and always where we are. This power and this presence is love itself. It is life itself. It's in the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. It is an I am. And I know that each one here is a divine expression of that one. We are each connected to it, connected to each other. And as we acknowledge this truth of our beings, our lives become a prayer. I know that each one here lives, moves, and breathes in the awareness of their truth, in the awareness of who they are, in the awareness of their greatness. I know each one here lives, moves, and breathes Spirit's attributes and allows the wisdom, the presence, the love to permeate every part of their being. And as so, they show up in the world in such a high vibration to be shared, to be expressed, for that to ripple out into the world, into the community, creating a world that works for everyone. And I give thanks for this. I release my word, knowing it is done. And so it is.
Bless these tithes and these offerings, knowing that they have come from a grateful heart, and we know that they will go forward and bless the world, the community, and everyone involved. Thank you. So it is.
Well, as the beautiful and wise Karyn said in her talk earlier, today is day one of the rest of your life. So I couldn't help but do this song by Matthew West called Day One. But I wish I had a short-term memory. I wish the only thing my eyes could see was the future burning bright right in front of me. But I can't stop looking back. Well, I wish I was the perfect mixture of somebody who's never not good enough. Well, I try to measure up, but I mess it up, and I wish I wasn't like that. I wish I wasn't wishing anymore. I wish I could remember that nobody's keeping score. I'm tired of throwing pennies in a well. I gotta do something. Here goes nothing. It's day one of the rest of my life. It's day one of the rest of my life. I'm marching on to the beat of a brand new drum. And here I come. The future has begun. Day one. Every single day God's grace reminds me that my best days are not behind me. Whenever my yesterday may find me, well, I don't have to stay there. See, my hourglass is upside down. My someday soon is here and now. The clock is ticking. I'm so sick and tired of missing out. I wish I wasn't wishing anymore. I wish I could remember that nobody's keeping score. I'm tired of throwing pennies in a well. I gotta do something. Here goes nothing. It's day one of the rest of my life. It's day one of the rest of my life. I'm marching on to the beat of a brand new drum. Yeah, here I come. The future has begun. Day one. It's day one, and here comes the sun. Every morning, every morning, every morning, life is new. Every morning, I will fix my eyes on you. Every morning, life is new. Every morning, the sun's coming up. The beginning has begun. Yeah, it's day one of the rest of my life. It's day one of the rest of my life. I'm marching to the beat of a brand new drum. Yeah, here I come. The future has begun. It's day one of the rest of my life. It's day one of the rest of my life. I'm marching on to the beat of a brand new drum. Yeah, here I come. The future has begun. Starting over. I'm starting over. 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 Starting now. I'm starting over.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is happening in my mind.
It is happening in my mind.
It is happening in my body.
It is happening in my body.
It's happening in my affairs.
It is happening in my affairs.
I think it.
I think it.
I feel it.
I feel it.
I see it.
I see it.
I believe it.
I believe it.
I know it.
I know